The Cosmonaut Variety Hour is wrong about video game movies. Except not really. Okay, look, I wanted a catchy title that would attract views, and no, don't click off the video, please! In November of 2018, the Cosmonaut Variety Hour channel made a video discussing the trend of video game movies and how they have almost exclusively been, as the French say, caca-doo-doo. If you haven't seen that video, give it a watch before this one. It's very good, like all of their stuff. Marcus, please talk about Greta Gerwig, don't keep it all on your Twitter. However, I take issue with the main thesis of their argument. Early on in the video, Marcus states,
"In my opinion, it's impossible to make a good movie based on a game."
He later backs up this statement with the core argument that the main pleasure derived from video games as a medium is their interactivity, and without that, the movies are kind of pointless. As he puts it,
"You can't adapt interactivity into a film. That's not possible."
But what if I told you there was a video game movie that not only works as a great film in its own right, but manages to contradict Marcus's main argument by keeping the interactivity wholesale? You'd probably call me a liar and then kick me in the dick, and more power to you. But, ladies and gentlemen, I blah 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 to the Midnight Society, Professor Layton and the Eternal Diva. For anyone out there who hasn't heard of the best Nintendo DS series of all time, fuck Nintendogs! Allow me to enlighten you. Professor Layton is a series of puzzle adventure games published by developer Level 5. The franchise consists of 3 main games, followed by 3 prequels and a handful of spin-offs, including one with Phoenix Wright where they get sent back to medieval times and have to stop innocent women being tried as witches and brutally murdered. Also, there's a minigame with a fat hamster and a Brooklyn accent.
Got any snacks around here?
The games all follow a similar premise. The Professor and his Cockney Robin Luke show up in a location having been invited to solve some grand mystery. As you explore the location and learn more about the inhabitants of each new city, you begin to uncover various plot details that create new mysteries, with each plot thread slowly drawing to one big conclusion. By the end of each game, the main original mystery is solved, with the solution always being the most insane shit you can possibly imagine. For example, end of the first game, turns out, whole entire town and everyone you talk to and it was robots. They were robots. The gameplay consists mostly of you walking around and talking to people and sometimes animals, but the main draw of the game is the hundreds of puzzles scattered around the world. Some are necessary to progress the story, and others are just kind of around for you to solve at your own leisure. These puzzles range between logic tests, lateral thinking exercises, riddles, minigames, and maths. There's also a ton of minigames and collectibles in each game, and the characters are all unique and fun to talk to. Honestly, they're really just delightful games, and I really can't recommend them enough. Put Layton in Smash. And from this pile of gold erupted a golden nugget this metaphor didn't really work. So how does this movie work as a video game movie? Calm down, I'll tell you, just be patient. Marcus states that
Most of the time, video game movies just take these base concepts of a game and they throw them on the screen haphazardly with no regard to those concepts and what they mean.
this is true, but like he said, most of the time. First of all, this film is 2D animated and all the characters are on model. No Jurassic Park Yoshi, no fucking Donnie Darko Sandman, no Wesker. Just good old Professor and Luke. Same voice actors, same personalities, same little quirks.
I am his apprentice. And I am his apprentice number 1.
Oh, Luke, you little scoundrel, you. Second, this film was written by Akihiro Hino, the main writer, producer, designer, and overall creator behind the first 5 games. This becomes really clear as the film progresses, and you begin to learn more and more about each side character and their distinct personalities and backstories. Hino's always had a real talent at giving these tiny little insignificant figures life. Some of them barely interact with our main characters, but we're able to learn their distinct names, personalities, and motivations with only moments of screen time. It's good writing. Thirdly, it's directed by Masakazu Hashimoto, who also directed a bunch of the Crayon Shinchan movie. Maybe that's not amazing. Do you know the creator of Crayon Shinchan died by falling off a cliff? That's fucked up, right? The film opens with a short scene explaining the world of the games and giving a brief overview of the main characters for anyone unfamiliar. This is a short scene with a lot of cute cameos from characters who are big in the games but aren't in the rest of the movie. Like him, and her, and Joey! This would be a good time to point out that the Professor Layton games have literally the best soundtrack of any video game ever.
Oh, kill him! Oh, kill him! Oh! Yeah.
The plot of the movie follows the guidelines of the games. Layton receives a letter from an old associate inviting them to an opera in which she's performing. Then she brings up some strange occurrences such as young girls disappearing throughout London and a child who claims to be her dead BFF reincarnated. That's kind of suspicious, huh? Almost like we've got a mystery on our hands. Someone called Scooby-Doo. Okay, so we got animation that captures the look and feel of the game, the same actors from the games giving it their all, music, both reused from the game's OST and new works to help enhance the tone, and an all-new plot following the same tone, themes and ideas as the original games, written by the same person. These are all factors which help the film become a decent adaptation of the games. But what about the interactivity? Well, after the opera finishes, a mysterious figure appears, challenging those in attendance to a series of puzzle-based challenges in a battle royale style competition, with the winner receiving the Elixir of Eternal Life, which is this film's MacGuffin. This leads to a handful of puzzles delivered to our protagonists throughout the film. But here's the thing. All of these puzzles are completely solvable for the audience on their own. Let me elaborate. Each puzzle within the film plays out exactly like a puzzle from the game. First, you are given a question, a task to complete. Then, you have to think it over. Long shots or elongated sequences of characters not really doing anything. Next, you have the hints. Hints in the Layton games can be bought using a currency called hint coins that you pick up throughout, with each puzzle allowing for 3 hints. The first tends to reword the question, whilst the second goes into more detail, and the third basically gives you the answer. Sure enough, the discussions between characters follows a similar pattern, slowly elaborating on and explaining the question in more depth. Finally, there is the reveal, the answer to the question, the aha moment and the sense of satisfaction that comes washing over you that can only be experienced through your own hard work. Let me give you an example. Later on in the movie, the characters are shown a set of 4 doors with letters in between each of them, and are tasked to find and go in the king's room under threat of death with failure. Can you crack it? I'll give you a second. This monkey's gone to heaven. This monkey's gone. Is this one? This one right here. Because, as Luke explains, it sits between the K and G, and since it's the door you go in, it makes the word king. I was like 9 when I first watched this movie, and I cracked that one at home on my first viewing, and whoo baby, the fucking lightning running through my veins. That one's by far the simplest of the puzzles, and possibly stupidest. But all in all, my point still stands. Sure, as Marcus says, the film lacks the unique individual experience of your average video game. But to be honest, that subjectivity as he describes doesn't really apply to the Layton games. It's not like the Elder Scrolls or Borderlands where you can run around and have funny little random encounters. It's all incredibly scripted and controlled as a narrative-based games, which are features that Marcus points to as flaws in general film adaptations. And while I agree that yes, most free-roaming exploratory games would hit a brick wall when placed under the controlled, confined narratives of films, there are clear exceptions to such a rule. Oh man, I spliced that last take up so badly, I'm sorry guys.
Most video game plots aren't very good.
No, I've left this point till last because this is clearly a very subjective point. The Professor Layton plots, on paper, suck. It's like JoJo. If you were to stop and sit down and actually talk it through with someone unfamiliar, you notice a million plot holes and stupid contrivances that make very little sense. The whole town is fucking robots! However, it's the delivery of these plots, alongside the wacky charm and charismatic features, that allows you to suspend all grievances and just enjoy them, and I think the same can be said for the Layton movie. Like, half the shit in this movie makes very little logical sense, and it just kinda happens, but you accept it and you enjoy it because it's just fun. It's just fun. I don't know, I kind of lost my train of thought here. I just like this movie a lot, and I want more people to talk about it. It ain't with Nell and I, it ain't the fucking lobster, but it's good. Okay, conclusion time. As I've tried to make it clear throughout this video, I agree with most of the points made in the original video. Film adaptations of games typically don't offer the same level of enjoyment as the games they're based on, as they struggle to adapt the interactivity and subjective nature of those games. However, this isn't a universal fact as Marcus claims, but rather an unfortunate trend that's occurred largely through the type of games being adapted. Does that sound good? Alright, sick. So, to conclude, watch Cosmonaut Variety Hour, play Professor Layton, and seriously, fuck Nintendogs! Hey guys, short video. I was actually working on a way longer thing meant to come out before this one, but my motivation kind of fell apart like everything else in life, you know. I'm actually working on an essay on Werner Herzog. It's a dissertation project for university at the moment, but that ain't gonna get views, so yeah. Alright, I'll see ya.